Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, bringing to another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. And August 23rd, 2004 marks 20 years ago that history was made on Raw when Randy Orton officially turned babyface and spat in the face of Triple H as a result of Evolution's betrayal the week before, the night after SummerSlam 2004. And for today's edition, I am going to be discussing the success and failures of Randy Orton's babyface run from August 2004 to March 2005. So, Randy Orton turning babyface after getting kicked out of Evolution was quite a surprise for some people, including myself, because when Randy Orton debuted in WWE back in 2002, he was pretty much a generic babyface, but at the same time, he had a great look. He was very solid in the ring and on the mic. He was the whole package for what a WWE wrestler should be. So, after he turned heel when he got hurt, he returned in January 2003 and joined Evolution, comprised of Triple H, Ric Flair, and Batista, thus giving birth to the four-man team of Evolution. And for 95% of Randy Orton's existence in WWE, he was a heel. He was the legend killer. You know, the cocky upstart who would go around killing legends, disrespecting them, you name it. Just an all-round cocky SOB. So, when Randy Orton won the world title at SummerSlam 2004, he did act like a bit of a babyface. You know, he shook hands with Chris Benoit, showed him great respect. Then the next night, after he retained the title, Evolution turned on him, thus kicking him out of the group. So, Randy Orton, the following week, was given two options: surrender the world title and walk away to live another day, from Triple H's words, or Evolution would make sure that Randy Orton would cease to exist. So Randy Orton spat in the face of Triple H, much to the shock of everyone, and hit him in the face with the world title belt and ran through the crowd. The crowd popped, and Randy Orton had a big cocky grin on his face, and it looked like he was now a babyface. And this was quite a strange turn of events for me. Randy Orton as a babyface, the same guy who was disrespecting the crowd not that long ago, it was a bit of a tough pill to swallow because I couldn't really buy into Randy Orton as a babyface. And now he was positioned as a sympathetic figure. We're all meant to feel sorry for Randy Orton. You know, he won the world title, he made history, he became the youngest champion ever. It should have been the greatest night of his life, but his friends in Evolution weren't too pleased about his success, and in a fit of jealous rage, everyone, specifically Triple H, all turned on him and beat him down and left him in a bloody heap. And now we're supposed to feel sorry for him. The very same guy who delivered those type of beatings to everybody else on a weekly basis. You can kind of see how that sounds. You know, it's kind of hard. But I thought, okay, we'll roll with this. I'll buy it. Let's see how this goes. Maybe this could turn out to be a good move. And Randy Orton's babyface run did get off to a very strong start. The following week, after he spat in Triple H's face, he came out to brand new theme music and a new attitude. So Randy Orton was no longer an Evolution member. He was now officially on his own with the fans behind him as the World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, bit of a tough one to get your head around there. But as I said, Randy Orton got off to a very strong start, and the crowd were kind of into him. I think it was just a case of the fans getting used to Randy Orton as a face more than anything else. But during that time, leading up to Unforgiven 2004, The fans were really behind him. Won't lie. It wasn't a case of the fans were just like, eh, or Randy Orton was hearing the sound of crickets chirping. He got off to a very good, strong start. The fans were in his corner, and he dropped the world title to Triple H at Unforgiven after interference from Batista and Ric Flair. So Randy Orton, although he was still hot, he wasn't as hot as before. But, I have said before that Randy Orton's babyface run didn't exactly set the world on fire. Yes and no. You know, People tried to say that, oh, fans just didn't care. They did like him, but I just think the fans weren't ready to cheer for Randy Orton. Just like I said before, Randy Orton wasn't ready to be world champion. I think the fans just weren't ready to cheer for Orton. They still knew him as a heel, which is fair enough. Now, throughout the rest of 2004, the fans were behind him as Randy Orton continued to feud with his former Evolution teammates. He would get into an emotional, personal feud with Ric Flair as they would go at it in a steel cage match at Taboo Tuesday 2004. That was good. That was a good feud, a good little program, because I bought into that more, that Ric Flair and Randy Orton were close. I didn't really buy into Triple H and Randy Orton being close. Probably even less than Randy Orton and Batista being close. I just never bought into all that. But Ric Flair and Randy Orton being close, yeah, I was fully invested into that because during that whole Evolution run, Randy Orton spent most of his run with Ric Flair by his side. Not Batista and Triple H so much. Maybe more Batista than Triple H, but I never got the sense that they were close, like brothers. That was a good feud. Randy Orton came across as a very strong babyface, put out some fiery promos, as he tried to convince Ric Flair that he's more than just Evolution's cheerleader. He's a legend. That was good. I enjoyed that. Randy Orton came across as a very believable babyface. And then we got to Survivor Series 2004, where you had Orton's team taking on Triple H's team, and the winning team and its members would get to run Raw for 4 weeks. Each member would get to run the show in any way they see fit. And Randy Orton came out of Survivor Series 2004 looking very strong as a babyface, with the fans cheering him very loudly. And it looked like the stage was set for WrestleMania 21, a rematch for the world title, Randy Orton versus Triple H, with Randy Orton going over and getting the world title back. However, in the background, Batista was starting to get his fair share of cheers. The fans were clearly not into Orton as a face. They weren't really buying it, and they were starting to clamour and lean more in favour towards Batista as WWE was starting to plant the seeds for Batista to break away from Evolution and become the next big babyface. But Randy Orton was still getting cheered. The fans were still behind him, but his popularity was starting to slowly cool down a bit. So all throughout 2004, Randy Orton would continue to still feud with his former Evolution teammates as we head towards 2005 for New Year's Revolution in the Elimination Chamber. And this was where I felt that his babyface run was starting to go downhill a little bit. Every Evolution member got cheered. Randy Orton got completely booed out of the building. He did still get a good reaction, but he got more boos. So it was quite obvious that Randy Orton was not going to be the big next babyface for WWE, and he wasn't going to be the guy to dethrone Triple H. Now, the thing is, you see, with Randy Orton as a babyface, there was no build to it. As I said, he got kicked out of Evolution. He spat in Triple H's face. Yes, the fans popped. They got behind him, but I think at the same time, I just don't think the fans were ready to cheer for Orton just yet. They were still invested in him as a heel, which is understandable because, as I said earlier, most of Orton's existence in WWE, he was a heel. He was the legend killer. And now we're supposed to cheer for him? Yeah, I can see why people weren't that keen. I mean, I didn't have a problem with him as a babyface, although I do feel he was better as a heel. I still say to this day, Randy Orton works much better as a heel. So we fast forward to Royal Rumble 2005. Orton was still a babyface, but now he was really starting to get booed. He was getting booed against Triple H during their match at the Royal Rumble 2005. Triple H would retain, and Randy Orton, his feud with Evolution was kind of put on the shelf, really. I mean, he would still mix it up with them, but you could clearly see that WWE was starting to wind it down now and ready to move on to other things. And Randy Orton, for the most part, just seemed lost. Whereas before he came out of, the whole Evolution fallouts looking very strong. Now it was just like, well, what do I do now? Everyone else has moved on to other things. I'm kind of lost here. And Randy Orton was still a babyface at this time. He would get advice from superstar Billy Graham and Shawn Michaels, and then Randy Orton would come out and challenge The Undertaker to a match at WrestleMania 21 and also declare himself as the one to break the undefeated streak. So Randy Orton, this was his way of trying to regain his credibility. Not that he ever lost any to begin with, but this was where Randy Orton was trying to put himself back on the map. It was quite obvious that his babyface run was just not working anymore, and we would see him slap Undertaker in the face in defiance, and Randy Orton would still try to make out he was a babyface. I still respect The Undertaker, he's a legend, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I will be the first one to break The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. So it was quite obvious that Randy Orton was going to turn heel, and his babyface run would come to an end in March 2005 when Randy Orton RKO'd his girlfriend Stacy Keibler, thus turning heel once more in his build-up to his match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 21. So, in terms of the success and failures of Randy Orton's babyface run from August 2004 to March 2005, first of all, I'm going to talk about the failures. I think that's a very good place to start, and then after I'll talk about the success of his babyface run. So, the failures, I felt that Randy Orton, during his feud against Evolution, more specifically Triple H, for the most part, he looked very weak. Triple H just kept humiliating him at every turn. Randy Orton was never really able to get a true definitive win over the game. And when he did, he finally got it in January 2005. I felt he should have got it much earlier. And he just looked weak throughout the whole feud. He didn't really look like he had the upper hand. There were some moments where he looked strong, but for the most part, he just looked weak. He just looked a bit foolish. And plus, the fans weren't fully invested in Randy Orton as a babyface. And some areas I felt that Randy Orton was trying far too hard to get the crowd to like him. And this was the same guy who couldn't care less if you liked him or not, as long as you showed him the respect for his accomplishments. Yeah, you know, one prime example I'll give where I felt Randy Orton was trying way too hard to get the fans to like him was he used to come out, blow kisses to the fans. I just thought it was a bit silly. I mean, you'd never ever see The Rock do that, blowing kisses to the fans. You might see him blow a kiss to one good looking fan, which he did do sometimes, or give him a little wink. But Randy Orton, he was coming out, blowing kisses to the fans and doing his pose. He was like doing this little spin round thing, like, oh, I'm so happy to be here. I just thought, oh God, this is a bit embarrassing, really, even for Randy Orton's standards. I don't know, really. if he was an anti-face, similar to Stone Cold or The Rock, where he was a face but he still behaved like a heel, maybe it could have worked. Maybe. But I just felt that at times Orton was sucking up to the fans, and I think that's part of the reason why the fans just didn't warm up to him the way they should. But those were the failures in terms of Orton's babyface run. Now, for success, yeah, there's plenty to talk about there. Randy Orton spat in Triple H's face in defiance, hit him with a world title belt, and yes, he looked very strong there. He looked really good. I thought, okay, here we go. The war is on. Orton's a face now. This is a little bit strange, but the betrayal stings. Orton hasn't forgotten, nor has he forgiven. This is something I could get behind. And in some moments of the feud, Orton did look strong. He did pick up a pinfall victory over Triple H at Survivor Series 2004, making sure his team gets to run Raw. He looked very, very strong there. His program with Ric Flair leading up to their steel cage match at Taboo Tuesday, excellent stuff. Orton was on fire, telling Ric Flair some personal home truths. Great stuff. Loved all that. His little tuffle he had with Edge, I have to mention that as well. That was good. There was some good stuff. Orton's babyface run wasn't all bad. There was some good stuff there. But in all honesty, as good as his babyface run was, in terms of the stuff that I mentioned, the failures unfortunately outweigh the success because I just don't think Orton was ready to become a face. I don't think the fans were ready to cheer him. Fast forward to 2010, after the implosion of Legacy, Randy Orton came out the hottest he's ever been in years. And he went on to have a great run as a babyface. Got to mix it up with his Legacy proteges, CM Punk, Wade Barrett, you name it. Randy Orton had a much better babyface run in 2010 than he did in 2004 to 2005. Just being honest, but overall, I would say Orton's babyface run was a complete failure because he just works better as a heel. And as I said, his better babyface run came later. I think what it was with Orton turning face, and I know some people have said that, oh, there wasn't enough star power. I don't fully agree with that. There was plenty of star power. I think maybe they just thought that they could try something different, but it didn't work. If we had a little bit of a build up to it, maybe it could work. But I just felt the whole turn was just rushed, just like the betrayal that I mentioned in the previous edition. Evolution betraying Orton. It was good, but I felt maybe they could have built it up better, and then we could have got a proper babyface turn from Randy Orton that the fans could get behind more. But yeah, the whole thing was a disaster, and they quickly learned their lesson when they turned Batista face in his build up to face Triple H at WrestleMania 21. So they learned their lesson there. But yeah, overall, I would say, yeah, Randy Orton's babyface run was a failure. Still loved him, but I just didn't really click with it. And I felt they were really trying too hard. And yeah, nobody was buying it, nor was I. But hey ho, you got to try these things. But it is what it is. So anyway, that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you guys think of Randy Orton's babyface run from August 2004 to March 2005? Did you enjoy it? Did you buy into Orton as a face? Or was you not fully invested into Orton as a babyface? Did you have any favourite moments during this run? Do you think Randy Orton looked strong as a babyface, or do you think he looked weak at times? Do you think maybe Orton was trying too hard to get people to like him? How would you have booked Randy Orton's babyface run? Would you have done things differently? Would you have built it up more? Or do you think maybe they rushed it, perhaps? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Wrestling Discussion Series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.